Hi, this is Paul Slackis, Good News Planet. I'm speaking to Veronique Pittman. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Paul.
We got a chance to meet at the Wayu Taya Foundation Gala, where they honored you for a lot of the good things that you do. And today we're going to learn about actually the Green School Alliance and some of the other projects. Are you still involved with the Rainforest Foundation?
I'm still involved with the Rainforest Foundation. I serve on the board of trustees there for RFF US, which is separate from the Rainforest Foundation Fund, which most people know of because they put on the large Carnegie Hall event. But that fund in turn funds the US RFF as well as the UK RFF and the Norway one. And they all concentrate on different parts of the world and the rainforests in those parts. And then I also am on the board of Global Goods Partners, which is now also selling some of the seed jewelry that I used to work with. And it's probably through that work that I was doing that caught the attention of Wayu Taya, which Patricia Velasquez runs, and she's an indigenous Wayu who has done a lot for her community down there. And that's how we met.
That's great. Well, I think a lot of people are really coming to the table here about doing good and doing good for the world, and corporations themselves. We just put a beautiful story up about Hershey and some of the cocoa farmer, and they have an involvement now with the Rainforest Alliance, and so on. I think the corporate world, sustainable world, the environmental world, inch by inch, they're seeing how important it is for their own livelihood and their whole family's future. What do you think of that?
I do. I feel like that the way people are coming around is through two things that was not completely unexpected to me, but I thought that when climate change became something that had a scientific backing, which it does, that more people would take action against it. But there's a NIMBY kind of behavior that is sort of part of our evolutionary behavior that makes people reluctant to change the way they live unless it's in their backyard, essentially. And also, it was such a scary idea, or it is such a scary idea that many people really are in denial, frankly, about it, and it's going, that it would hurt too much, or they perceive that it was going to hurt too much to change. But what's happening right now is, despite our economic downturn, people are finally coming around to thinking about some of these issues, not because of climate change, but because of toxicity and pollution issues, and also human rights and poverty issues that speak to the very religious groups that were in fact denying climate change. They're understanding that that there are going to be millions of displaced people as a result, and that it is part of their mission to help the poor. And if they let the numbers swell to the to the degree that they will, that they've got themselves an almost impossible problem on their hands. So people are coming around in sort of interesting ways to caring about the environment and each other, even those people who are far away from them.
How did this become part of your mission? I mean, you were a graphic designer, a cook, adventurer, indigenous rights and so on. Where did this come inside of you personally?
It's interesting. I'm one of those people who was, as that actress who had the one-woman show on Off-Broadway once, I forget her name, she had a show called Blown Sideways Through Life, and when that show came out, I was too young to see it, or I don't even remember where I was, but that was me. I've done a lot of things in my life, and I saw a lot of things, and I became incredibly aware of environmental degradation while I was traveling in Nepal, way before anybody knew anything about global warming or climate change. What I did know, and I've always known since I was young, was the importance of trees in our ecosystems, to basically to hold the soil together, keep it rich, create shade structure and an ecosystem for other creatures to live. And when I went to the Khumbu with my first husband, well, back before I even married him, I was absolutely shocked. Instead of it being this really uplifting journey I was supposed to be having, I was completely depressed because all the hillsides were denuded by people who were continuing to cook their foods in their traditional shelters, and everything they said was traditional, but there's nothing traditional about swelling populations of Sherpas cooking on stoves that were causing, lung problems and emphysema, and having to search farther and farther away for the wood, the fuel for their fires. Development organizations were not doing enough to provide kerosene stoves, nor either to train them and show them that it's not culturally untraditional to cook that way. And what ended up happening is it's impoverishing places in ways you can't even imagine, because it's women's work, for one thing. Mm-hmm. They're spending more and more time finding fuel, having to go farther and farther because their countryside is ravaged, giving them less and less opportunity to be educated. And it's a snowball effect that is actually making, impoverishing countries all over the developing world. And then I read an article in the New Yorker years later about core samples in the Arctic that were, proving the existence of rapid warming of our climate. And I just realized that all the things that can happen when that the buildup of CO2 and really what are the repercussions to our ocean biodiversity and everything else. And I just said, well, I'm interested in a whole lot of things. I don't think I'm going to give up my love of life and having fun, but this is going to become my life's mission, is to make sure that we raise as much awareness about this issue and try to slow the effects of climate change as much as possible so that future generations will live in a better world, not a worse world. That's the goal, right, as humans?
Yeah, that's definitely that's the goal. We need to, firstly, we're just borrowing the place to begin with, and now we should be taking care of it for our own time as well as the future generations. And
absolutely,
we're all about that. And in fact, this latest outreach, or maybe I don't know if it's your latest, but the Green Schools Alliance. What's that all about? And that sounds, I got all excited. What's going on there?
Well, it's funny. I backed into this organization. It really was a one-woman show for the most part. Kind of still is. Well, now it's a two-person dog and pony show with some other energized volunteers, and we're trying to grow this movement. What struck me as very powerful about this is that the model is by schools for schools. So it's an organization of schools taking action on climate change, where their where they're actually galvanizing the entire community to do this, not just the schools, but the parents, the students, the faculty, and the staff. And it's different from, say, there's a lot of great sustainability education organizations out there. What makes this different is that we want to support and promote all those people, but we're not an NGO that either goes into schools and charges them for our way of greening the school. We don't have much in the way of prizes, although we hope to as we grow the organization and attract corporate sponsors. But what we try to do is connect the schools to each other and make it easier for schools that not just schools that are green, but the schools that aren't at all and want to learn more about what they can do based on schools have enough on their plate without having to worry about their carbon footprint. Although it does actually benefit them by reducing obviously their energy use from a from a cost standpoint. So the easier we can make it for schools to find what they need, whether it's curriculum, uh, suppliers, auditors, installers, and whatnot, the sooner they can implement it. And in a way, I was a little bit the last 8 years, under our previous president, was a real dark time for me, and I felt that the school area was going to be the best position to actually making some real lasting changes in sort of how things are done, and prove to the government, to corporations, that it can be done. If students can do it, then everybody else can.
Well, it's a great outreach, and students can upload videos, photos, presentations, register for their student clubs. I think there was a woman, Margaret Mead, that said, one person can change it, or one woman in this case. So if you have one or two, that's what sometimes it just takes, right? To see the need, see the vision, and to make something like this happen. It sounds like this is what that is all about.
Yes, it is, and I hope that the new platform that we just launched is going to really accelerate the adoption of some of these sustainability practices. And there is no one size fits all. Depending on where your school is, whether they're urban, rural, suburban, independent, charter, private, public, they're all going to be going about this, or geographic location. They're going to have different areas in which they want to focus that will be easiest for them. So and so they can actually, this tool will enable them to look for each other without our help, and connect with each other directly to the right person without a lot of intervention or dead calls or phone tag. And it's using, I think, technology for the best possible purpose, which is to actually connect people, not alienate people.
I was thinking exactly as you were saying that. This is a perfect example of the use of the internet, let's call it, and more, because at this point, 116 schools, 22 states participate. 2012 National Green Cup
Challenge alone. We have almost 4,000 school members. We're trying to encourage more international schools to join and share what they're doing. And school districts, public school districts. So including, we already have the entire Chicago school system and the New York City public school system on board, and would love to see more city school systems taking interest in it. And it's a free organization, and it's just a tool that they can use, and all they need to do but to join is to fill out their profile page and publish it so that everybody can see what they're doing.
Make it simple. Student Climate and Conservation Congress. You have a national
that's
conservation.
Great. Yes, that's another
center.
we do in June with the National Conservation Training Center, which is part of the Department of Interior, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and it's in an unbelievably beautiful facility that very few people know about. It's a government facility in West Virginia. And we host about 120 students from all over the country that are nominated by their own schools to go for an intensive week-long crash course in environmental leadership. And we invite just the best speakers you can imagine, and they go back. Obviously, these are students that may have considered studying environmental anything, business, law, or sciences in college, but you could probably interview them and ask what they're about to do, what they're going to be majoring in college, and I would say that the vast majority will be galvanized to continue their pursuit in this area.
Yay. Well, we need people in this area. We need a lot of people to focus on it and be aware of it. I think that's the big mantra, reduce, reuse, recycle. Let our young people realize it, and hopefully they can tell their parents.
Yeah, and not only that, but the website allows people to rate the resources. So I'm going to be uploading hundreds of resources in the next couple of months, including films that are cut into shorter formats for schools for different age groups.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know what, it's up to the teachers and the people who are using the site to rate them. And if it stinks, we'll take it off the site. If it's not a useful resource for them, it doesn't belong on our website. We will not be post resources based on somebody paying us to do so.
Well, it all sounds very good. Obviously, you're passionate about it, and I like the website a lot. There's a lot of information here that's well worth spending some time, and more importantly, as I hear you say, let's get involved. That's the key. That's what you want, right?
Yes, I do.
Beautiful. Let me ask you a last question here. I see you guys creating a whole TV channel out of what you're doing, because everybody that gets involved with something like this has a story to be told, and it's usually a good news story because there's nothing not good news on what's here. So it's all good. The last question for you is, what's good news for you? After you just shared about a bunch of minutes of it.
Me?
Yes.
Well, I love the fact that people are using social networking tools for good. That's really good news for me. I was a little bit worried about where Facebook was going, and I've seen, I know that they're building out their cause area, and that's really great. I think good news is that I'm getting to sort of dig myself out of the site launch for this, and I can focus on some other things that I love to do. That's good news. The baby's born. I can take care of it, and now I can focus on some other things. And that I've met you.
And that's good news for me as well. Well, thank you very much for sharing, and I look forward to speaking with you again and then sharing other good news that you're involved with.
Likewise, Paul.
Thank you. You take care.
Stay.
Bye-bye.